Hello and welcome to the next tutorial. Today we are going to look at the recipe management. And so here we have the SCADA project. On the left hand side you can find a recipe directory which contains the recipe tag. If we open that one, we will see the recipe control element. It looks quite confusing, but actually you don't need to change anything in here if you just want to use a default recipe management which enables you to save recipes. This is a load recipe, save recipe, edit the name or delete a recipe. This is just the icon, the check mark for which recipe is selected at the moment for edit or for load. And here down here you can find a text which shows you the current path the recipe is stored in on the PLC, and you can list the recipes. So if you change something in the directory, you can say list and it will update the control, and you can change the directory and scroll up and down. Of course, you can see the connection already to the PLC variable. It's in HMI act recipe, so there is a recipe area in the HMI struct for that. And yeah, so let's take a look inside the PLC project. Here you can see the recipe handler, which is the function block for the recipe management. I will go in debug mode to show you that it's running at the moment, and it will already tell us the path it is looking at. Yeah, so let's talk about the function block. You can see the first input is a data input which is connected to a file template dummy array. If we take a look at that in the watch window, then you can see that it's added to the watch window, which will tell us more about the dummy data. So here we can see the first array index is connected, and yeah, we have just random data in here. And let's go ahead. The function block is already enabled. We can see that the path it is looking at on the PLC, of course, is the user data recipe. So please make sure that this directory exists. And yeah, I show you the directory on my PLC. So here you can see that we are connected to the PLC. And the user data recipes, we already have 2 recipes in here. Then we can list recipes, we can load recipes, we can save recipes, and we can delete a recipe. And the output will tell us more or less just the state of each action. And in order to make the handling of the recipes, we have a state machine for that, which is called cyclic recipe. And if we take a look at that, we can see that we have a 0 state, a init state, where we just wait for a command, and we can see what it's waiting for. We have a command change recipe directory and list recipe, delete recipe, load or save recipe as well here. And we just jump into the according state. For example, if we list all recipes, we go to 100, which enable the input of the function blocks, and if it's done, we just copy the recipe list from that function block back to our interface structure, which is then copied to the HMI structure. So let's take a look at how it looks in the visualization. For that, we go to the recipe page, and here you can see that we are in the user data recipes. And if we say list recipes, it will list the recipes that we just saw in our file directory. And of course we can rename it to a new recipe and leave the edit mode. We can say we want to, yeah, let's say the current configuration, we want to save it on the disk, and therefore we say again new recipe, and we save it. Leave the edit mode, and yeah, I can show you the recipe on the PLC. Here it is. And if we now take a look at the data down here, we can see the data dummy. Let's say the current configuration has bed 1 set, and we save that to the again new recipe. Let's press save. We set the bit to false, and we now load the recipe, and we go back to ProProc. You can see the bit is true again. In that way we can use the recipe management in the weapon foil template.